Hello, human physiology class. Welcome to Biology 236, a physiology class designed specifically for pre-nursing students. Okay, I'm going to be your instructor for this semester. I'm Dr. Tamitha Barbeau, and I have my PhD in physiological reproduction and endocrinology. So before I get going, if you're a pre-nursing student, this is the course for you. But if you are pre-med or pre-vet, this would not be the physiology course for you. That would be the upper level biology 406 class. So if that applies to you, make sure you look into the catalog and get into a seat of biology 406. But if you're pre-nursing, you're in the right class. And if you're pre-physician assistant, this could also be the correct class for you. If you're applying to FMU's PA program, they'll accept this physiology. I don't know about other PA programs, so you would have to check on your own and make sure they would accept this course. Okay, so in order to explain the content of the course on this first day of lecture, I'm going to end up sharing my screen, and I'm going to go over the course webpage, the link to which I emailed all of you and told you a little bit about what our first 3 weeks online is going to be like. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. I'm going to go over that online webpage with you and the syllabus. I'm going to show you where all the information can be found that you'll need, including the course textbook, which is a free online PDF, and all the lab handouts, questionnaires, and so on. So, all right, so I'm going to go ahead and share the screen. Give me a moment here. Okay, so that link that I gave you will bring you to my main webpage for the physiology course, and it'll look pretty much like this. My office is in McNair Science Building 301, although if you need to see me eventually when we're on campus, we can talk about that, but that won't occur in that office. Okay, so my webpage is here. I don't use Blackboard. It crashes too frequently, and everything is here. So there's two links here. One is to the syllabus, which I will get to in a second, and then the next is for the scores page, and I'll explain that shortly when we start talking about exams and quizzes in the course. So the main syllabus page looks like this. Okay, so I have my contact information here. I'll make this a little bit bigger for you. And our lecture is scheduled for Wednesday from 9:30, Monday, Wednesday, Friday from 9:30 to 10:20 a.m. Now, the online portion of this for the first 3 weeks is not going to be synchronous per se. I will have the lecture PowerPoints presented online by 9:30 on the day of those lectures. And then when we're on campus, we'll of course be meeting in the University Gym North, and labs are held in LSF 208 only for the in-person portion of the course. For the first 3 weeks, the labs will be online, and I'll explain how that format is gonna go. Okay, so let's start with the first thing on the syllabus, the mask policy. Obviously, for the first 3 weeks, you don't need to worry about it. But once we're on campus, you must have your masks on while you're on campus, including when you enter the lecture hall or the laboratory. If you don't have your mask on, I will ask you to leave, and this is for the health and safety of not only your fellow students, but also instructors, because some people might be immunocompromised or you don't know their health history. So that mask policy is just for everyone's safety. Okay, enough about that. I'm sure you've heard to death about that. The lecture textbook is a free online PDF. It's a wiki human physiology textbook, and it's very simplified. It's not as thick as a regular textbook, but what I've done, and I will show you by clicking the link to it, and it pops up. Okay, so there it is. Now, and it has a table of contents and so on and so forth. And when you're online, you could click to, say, the chapter on homeostasis, and it will pull it up. Now, the important thing in this textbook is it's not the perfect textbook. It's a good textbook. It's accurate. But the specifics that I want you to know, I've embedded my comments within each chapter. And if it's highlighted and you pull up a dialog box like this, let me show you, okay, it'll pop up. There's one downside. If you're looking at the text while you're online, that comment box will be truncated. It'll be shortened. Not all of my comment will show up. So what I recommend you do is you download this PDF. So if I move my little box here, there's a little download symbol here. You download that onto your desktop of your iPad or whatnot. And what you will see is it will look more like this. I'm going to pull it up for you. Okay, so here's my copy downloaded. Now, when you open it up as a PDF, you can hit this little arrow here and it'll make it bigger. I recommend going up to this view right here and make it fit to the whole width so you don't have to strain your eyes. And my first little intro is right here. Welcome to Human Physiology. I'm Dr. Tamitha Barbeau and I will be your instructor. Okay, here's another way to scroll through this PDF. You could simply scroll down, which will take you through all the necessary stuff. If you click within the PDF, it'll bring you to that chapter. Another way is this little bookmark right here that gives you all the chapters, okay? And then you can even have subheadings within the chapter. So if I just go to the first chapter, which we will start on Wednesday of this week, and then I'll make that little index go away, we have homeostasis. We'll be talking about that on Wednesday. So look where I said, what is homeostasis? And that comment box says, read this section on how the body maintains homeostasis. So I'll say, read this section. And then if you keep going through, I have another comment here. Oh, look, there's a lot of information there. So scroll, 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 negative feedback. Oh, that's a big, if you click it, it'll bring up the whole box where you can expand the box to make it as large as you want for reading. And these are my comments to you. These are the things you must pay special attention to. Okay, so I don't think I need to belabor that, but that is the textbook, and I'll keep talking about that throughout the semester. Okay, so let's get out of that right now. Okay, no, we don't keep it. Okay, and I'm going to back out of that and go back to our syllabus. Okay, lab manual. There is no lab manual. All the lab materials and handouts that you'll need will be found on the syllabus, and I'll scroll down and I'll show you them. They'll be downloadable PDFs, just like the course textbook. Okay, you can read this online syllabus yourself, but we are going to focus primarily in this course on negative feedback pathways. That is how the human body works. That's how the human body maintains homeostasis. And when the body isn't able to maintain homeostasis, that's when you've got pathology, and that's when the healthcare system steps in. Okay, so we'll get to that on Wednesday. Course conduct. We have 3 lectures per week in 1 3-hour lab. Lecture exams. There's going to be 4 exams. No, they are not cumulative, all right? They're just going to be on each quarter of the course, and that will be plenty of information. And those exams, we're planning to have our first exam once we're back on campus. And so that exam is tentatively planned to be multiple choice, all right? You come in with a Scantron in the exam, and the whole period is the exam, okay? Should something happen in that first 3 weeks and we find that we are not going back to on-campus instruction on the 4th week, I will let you know at the time what we plan to do about take-home exams, but don't worry about that yet. Don't think too far ahead. I'm only thinking about 2 weeks ahead of time because I don't know what's going to happen. Okay, so 4 lecture exams. There's going to be 3 lecture quizzes consisting of about 20 questions in the first minute of lecture. Now, our first lecture quiz is scheduled while we're still online, and so that will be a Word document that you can download from the syllabus and then fill it out and then email it back to me, and I'll give you the deadlines. Okay, the lecture writing assignment. You'll have 1 lecture writing assignment where you'll find out when I go through material that I'll talk about the normal physiology of the body. Say, the normal physiology of blood glucose regulation. That'll be in chapter 1. And I'll talk about here's how the body regulates blood glucose using feedback pathways. And then in that lecture, I'll talk about disorders of glucose metabolism like diabetes, okay? And then that writing assignment, maybe I'll give you a drug that's used to treat diabetes, or you could look one up, okay? And then in the writing assignment, you number 1, give a pharmacological drug that's used to treat a disease or pathology condition. Explain what that drug is prescribed for. Then explain the normal functioning of the body for that body system. So if you pick a blood glucose regulation drug, how does the body under normal circumstances regulate blood glucose? And then you explain the physiology of how that drug helps the disorder and put in as much physiology from what you've learned in lecture as you can. And then you'll cite a source. So if I've given you an example writing assignment, which you can look over to show you exactly how that's done. Okay, so if we look at that right here, here we go. All right, so make it a little bit bigger. What you need in the writing assignment: name, date, title of the paper, name of the pharmacological drug, what it's used to prescribe or prescribed for, what is the normal body function process involved, and then explain how the drug treats the disorder with physiology in it. Okay, you'll have citations and have a literature cited section at the end. Okay, and then I gave you an example writing assignment, but that means that you can't use that topic for your writing assignment because it's already been done. But I've provided everything online for you. Okay, so let me move this box around a little bit. Okay, so get rid of that. Go back to the syllabus. Okay, you will also have 2 lab reports which are scheduled for later in the semester when we're supposed to be on campus in the laboratory. And so I'm going to hold off on that because that won't be till halfway through the semester. So you can look it over. I provided some information about it. Okay, lab quizzes. When we're on campus in the laboratory, I have on the syllabus when lab quizzes are scheduled, but we're 3 weeks away from that right now. So when we're doing online labs, I will show you on the syllabus what you'll be required to do in terms of assignments and readings and so on. So let's just wait and continue on. Attendance, well, I can't record online attendance. That's not nearly impossible, but once we're on campus, I can. Okay. If you have any questions about the nursing program, please don't listen to this student said or that student said, because sometimes people are inaccurate. So your go-to person in the nursing department is Robin Morgan, and I've included her contact information here, her phone and her email, okay? She is your liaison, your connection to the nursing program. She's the one who receives the applications. Okay, so now what you really wanted to know. Here is the point breakdown for the course. 4 lecture exams for a total of 600 points. They're each 150 points. 3 lecture quizzes, 1 writing assignment, and then for the laboratory portion of the course, for the online labs, we're going to have 2 weeks of online labs. I've got a blood glucose questionnaire and a cell metabolism questionnaire, each worth 10 points. And then I'll have a neurotransmitter case study worth 10 points. So those 3 online lab assignments are worth 30 points. That's what a typical lab quiz is worth in this course, 30 points. Okay? All right. So, grading scale is the typical grading scale. Okay, so I'll let you look at that. But here's the important thing. This is the syllabus. So starting Monday, this lecture I'm doing right now is Zoom, is your introduction to the nursing physiology course in the format of the course. That's what I'm doing right now. Okay, and this will be posted as a link on the syllabus. Okay, starting on Wednesday of this coming week, we will actually have our first lecture material in PowerPoint. So what I'll have is I'll have a PDF of that complete PowerPoint for that chapter. So chapter 1, homeostasis and feedback loops. Okay, if you click the PowerPoint PDF, bingo, there it is. Okay, the entire PowerPoint, so you can print it out or study it. Everything will be there. Now, okay, so in a PowerPoint, if I've got a link such as, practice flow diagram on negative feedback regulation of body temperature. If you click that link, it will bring you up to, look, a blank flow diagram. Feedback loops are going to be hard to study because it's unlike any other course you've taken. It's not like microbiology. It's not like anatomy, which is simply memorizing the parts and pieces and where they all go. Physiology is about how the body communicates among those organ systems and how those organ systems are regulated by probably your nervous system or endocrine system to maintain body functions to within a normal range. All right, that's called homeostasis. As a nurse, someone comes into the hospital, the first thing you do is measure some vital signs like heart rate, blood pressure, body weight, maybe body temperature, maybe blood glucose, respiratory rate, okay? And you look to see if those values are within the normal range. And if they aren't, that indicates something's going on. So the body's physiology is geared specifically to keep body functions within this narrow range of parameters. Okay, so that's why learning to study these feedback loops and these blank flow diagrams is important. And that's why I provided you resources to do it, because simply studying it from a PowerPoint is not enough. All right, you have to print these out and you have to practice filling them out. Okay, after you studied, how well did you remember what you studied? Now, what I've also provided for you is, I think I just went out of my PowerPoint. Let's go back. So going back to that PowerPoint, let's go to that feedback loop page. Okay. Okay. Now, on the syllabus will be the blank flow diagrams and the keys. Okay, and I'll show you that in a second, but I did want to let you know that hyperlinks inside the PDF, if you're online looking at them, those hyperlinks are active and you can pull them up. Okay, so we're not going to get into lecture material yet. Let's back out of that. Let's go back to the syllabus. Okay, so that is chapter 1, which we're going to be starting. Now, what I'm going to provide to you is I'm going to do something like I'm doing now, is a Zoom meeting. And what I'll do is I'll talk to you, okay? I'll lecture to you. And I'll also pull up the PowerPoint and I'll go over information with you. I'll pull up the links. I'll give you my stories, because lecturing off a PDF or a PowerPoint is dead boring. But what I do is I tell stories. I have a medical background. I'm a licensed veterinary technician with almost 6 years of experience as the head tech at an animal hospital. I know it's animals, but hey, the physiology and the medicine is all the same, and certainly the body systems are all the same. So I tell a lot of stories about my medical training and background and what I know, to help you learn the material. And I'll also give you helpful mnemonics and other devices to help you learn the material. So watching these Zoom lectures is going to be really important. It's my way of communicating with you when I can't have you in the lecture hall. Okay, so for chapter 1, you'll have the PDF. Okay, when we get to Wednesday before 9:30 on lecture, I will have the YouTube video for the Zoom Wednesday lecture. I'll have a link to the YouTube video for that. Likewise, on Friday, for the Friday lecture, I'll have a link to a YouTube video of the lecture. Okay, so everything's online, lots of resources, PDFs, Zoom lectures. Now, for every chapter, I provide you with a practice exam. So when you start studying that chapter, you want to test your knowledge, how well did you study, you click a practice exam and you come up with practice questions. And so for chapter 1, I got quite a few questions here. I think I've got 30 questions, okay? And then down here, I've got a key to the practice exam, all right? So lots of resources for you. Okay, back to the syllabus. Now, I also will provide for every chapter a study outline. This is basically of the whole chapter. This is your note page on what you need to know. So if I click that, I come up to a page like this, and these are the things that you'll want to be able to answer for the first quiz. I'll even have links to additional readings called clinical applications. So when I'm talking about negative feedback on Wednesday, I'll refer to reading assignments such as anabolic steroid abuse and negative feedback. All right, if you click that, it brings you to an additional reading assignment, which you can look at online. Okay, so I have got a syllabus that is chock full of online resources for you. For chapter 1, where I talk about negative feedback regulation of body temperature, blood glucose, and blood pressure, I've got blank flow diagrams for, hey, body temperature. So if you click that, there's the blank flow diagram. If you go back to the syllabus, the key to that flow diagram is right there. Okay, so I've got lots of resources made available to you to help you learn these feedback pathways. And as you go to each chapter, you're going to see the same things available to you. Okay, now, when we get to next week, August 24th, 25th, and 26th, so Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday labs, what you're going to do is you are going to go to Lab 1, blood glucose regulation, experiment, This is what you would have done if you had been on campus. And I provided you with an example data set that you would have collected as a laboratory class, okay? If I click that, it looks like this. So the boldface terms you'll want to know, okay? And there's and the good thing is chapter 1, I'm going to cover all this stuff. Okay, and here's the experiment design, and then if we had actually collected data, this is what it looks like, okay? And I've got some additional information for you. So that's the handout. What I've also got is the blood glucose regulation questionnaire, the 10-point questionnaire that you've got to fill out and then turn in to me by 5 p.m., the end of the day of your scheduled lab. So Monday at 5 p.m. or Tuesday at 5 p.m. or Wednesday. So if you click that, it's going to be a downloadable Word document that you can fill out. When you email this completed questionnaire, email it back as a Word document or as a PDF, either works for me, okay? Now, what I'm also going to have, and some of that questionnaire is going to contain questions from the YouTube video. I don't have that up. I'm going to shoot that this week and get it up by, well, next week's lab, okay? I will have a link right here next to lab 1 on the blood glucose lab on YouTube. And what I'll do in that YouTube video is I'll actually show you how to use a lancet and a lancet holder and a blood glucose meter with a glucose test strip, and I'll show you how do you measure blood glucose, and I'll show you the basic experimental design, and I'll have some questions about that in the questionnaire. Okay, so, and then the following week I will have a PowerPoint up. The lab is already up, including the YouTube video is already up because I have that one done. All right, so you can scroll along on your own time throughout the rest of the syllabus here. Obviously, I don't have all the PowerPoints for the lectures up yet because I'm tweaking those a little bit, but I think if you look this over, it'll be pretty self-explanatory. All right, so that is the format of the course. Now, I'm going to make sure I go over all the important things that I wanted to with you. So I'm going to pull up my little Post-it note here. Okay, so format of course, online from August 17th to September 7th. In-person format starting Wednesday, September 8th. Hopefully I've got that correct. It might be. Well, all through the campus, it starts as in-person. Our lecture will actually be starting on September 9th in person in the university gym, the north part of that gym. Okay, big thing is, do not look on Blackboard for my online course. It's not there. It's going to be in the online syllabus. Okay, we've gone over course textbook and lab materials. We've gone over lecture exams, quizzes, the writing assignment. We've put off talking about the lab reports for right now. I went over the online lab experiments and assignments with you, and then also lecture PowerPoints available to you as PDFs. They're going to be available when they're online as Zoom videos, all right, where I'll talk and also go over and share the screen with the PowerPoint with you, okay? And we've talked about resources that you have, such as practice exams, study outlines, practice flow diagrams, and I think it's pretty straightforward. So what I'm going to do is, for the first day on Monday, when you look at this video, and I'll email you all letting you know that video link is up for you to look over. I will give you about a day to process that information, and then perhaps on Tuesday, I'll send out an email with a link for a Zoom meeting, office hours, where you can ask me questions before Wednesday's lecture is presented to you, okay? The last thing I think I want to go over is the scores page. Now, there's no scores yet, but there will be. So I'm going to go to that scores page, and here's what it looks like. I will have an ID number, a random number that I'm assigning you, and I'm going to email each of you individually, privately, and say, here's what your ID number for the course is, okay? And when we start getting quiz scores and so on, you can go online and find your number, say 15, and you look, oh, quiz 1, okay? Oh, it's, yeah, is it worth 40 points? Let's see, I can't recall. Yep, they are worth 40 points, I've just forgotten. Okay, and when you get your quiz back, and it has the score on it, that's what you earned, and then you'll know it's out of 40 total possible points. And then you can always calculate your percent score by taking what you earned divided by the total possible points and then multiplying that out by 100%. So if you got 36 out of 40 questions, you would take 36 divided by 40 times 100%, and that'll give you your percent score on that quiz. So you will always be able to figure out exactly how you're doing in this course through all the quizzes and exams. Okay, so I'm going to stop sharing the screen because I think I've covered the content of the course, most importantly how the online content is to be delivered, and then when we're going to have on-campus instruction. Fingers crossed that that does happen on September 9th for us. So I'll have this posted, and then I'll email you all your individual student IDs and a link to Zoom office hours, probably on Tuesday after you've had a chance to look over Monday's Zoom introduction. Okay, so it's good to meet you virtually in the office hours. You can choose to join in with your video so I can actually meet you and see you, or you can choose to keep your privacy and just do voice. But until then, hope you enjoyed the introduction to the format, and we will have more information presented to you in this format on Wednesday. All right, peace out, everyone.